Good afternoon, Jason here, Birchfield Family Farm, Oxford, Ohio. Grass-fed red Devon cattle, grass-fed St. Croix sheep, non-GMO fed layers, broilers, a little bit of honey, maple syrup, decent sized garden. We're into a little bit of everything here on the farm. I got a good word for you today. This comes from Daniel chapter 3. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king. But even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." Yesterday, last day of May, we were 90 degrees. 90 degrees today again. You know, humidity in the 35% range. Very, very dry here. Drought Monitor actually upgraded us just today on their map. We are D0 now. Abnormally dry is how they're classifying things around here. You know, this is an interesting time to have a drought in the spring. Wife and I were talking here, and you know, I can't really remember last time we had this dry of a spring. The issue is with a lot of those annuals, especially the garden plants. You know, you've put those in, and you get a dry spell in August, July and August. We usually do. You got to water a little bit, but the plants are much more established. You get a dry spell here at the end of May and through June, and the plants just they just wither a lot quicker. They dry up a lot quicker because they don't have those established root systems down in the ground. And so it's getting challenging here. And you know, speaking of challenging here, looking at this rotational grazing, man, it's I tell you, drought is really it's hard to manage no matter what way you're farming. But with rotating, I am really glad out here in the middle of these paddocks that we did not decide to clip. And you know, I got some seed heads on. I realize that. And if you read the research, that sigmoid curve of grass, right? You kind of want to clip it before you hit that seed stage, before it heads out. But I'm very glad that I didn't. We skipped across this pretty quick on that first rotation. You know, where are we going from here? Well, I've still got cattle down in the woods. You know, sheep are still up front in the front pasture. You know, we're still rotating, but we move cattle anyway about every day through that woods. I've just been sectioning that out with electronet and just milking every last square foot of wooded area that we've got. They're eating honeysuckle, they're eating weeds. You know, they're clearing ground for us down through that woods, and that's really good. Been happy with that. But I tell you, I've got maybe one more day to move and take you down in there and show you. Maybe a move tomorrow down in there, and then we got to get back on this rotation. And you know, still kind of thinking over how to run this second round here with this drought curveball. Let's get out in the woods here and check things out. This is actually part of our paddock 1, and we haven't gone on to that yet. But just showing you that contrast down this fence line. And look at what they've done over here. I mean, this is just, I can't believe this. The way they can just clear out ground. I mean, we've still got, what's the spiny stuff here? Multiflora rose or whatever that crud is. They're not much into that, but this honeysuckle, good grief. I mean, it is stripped bare. I think we'll have quite a bit of regrowth. I mean, look at that hoof. hoof pressure there. Just eating it down, pooping it out. I'm tickled to death with this. I mean, you can hear them quite a ways away. You can hear sticks breaking and everything else. Just never thought we would be this far down in here intentionally, but you know, like I say, you get the drought curveball, and here we are. Okay, you can see here, I've got like one more small section here. That's our rotational grazing. Those are the paddocks up there. So I've got electric wire there. I've got them back there, and there's a pretty steep embankment here. I'm wondering if I could come across here with a net and maybe get one more day here looking down here. Yeah, we got some good clover there. Some grass in here. Little creek that runs through here. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, we've got this hemmed in here pretty decently all the way around. Let's let them out here and see how they respond. Okay, loving it already. Okay. Loving this stuff. You can see we've got quite a bit of fly pressure here. Two disadvantages to running cattle in the woods I've noticed. You got this electronet. That can be an absolute nightmare to run through the woods. That's been a bear actually. And then I'm noticing this fly pressure. This fly pressure is very intense down here, especially around the water. Have several different lines of defense for flies. Typically don't really use much of any of them in May and early June here. But they're looking like they've got some flies on the back here. I guess normally we see the swallows, dipping down, but not really gonna see that here in the woods. I like the real wide fly paper, wrapping that around inverted trash cans, keeping that by the water. I tell you, that really does remove a lot of the flies out of the system. And then of course, on round 2 here of the rotating, we're hoping to integrate chickens behind, and that'll help them tearing through those pats. So there's a little bit of honeysuckle harvesting right there. That's our other bull there, Mr. Big, tearing into it. They got all kinds of feed down here. Okay, let's take a look at paddock 1 here. Cattle are just down that way. You can see the water, that's where we were. And they'll be coming up through the corner over here onto paddock 1. Boy, what a white clover invasion here. That's okay with me. It's just not very big. It's okay, it's something. A little bit of red mammoth mixed in there. Yeah, we're just sparse in this paddock, especially up in here where we did not run chickens. Up in there where chickens were, we've got some pretty decent growth. I remember this is our spot early on in the season. I mean, look at this. It's thick and lush. And not really the case out in there. And it's more than just shade. It's that chicken pressure. So this year, this has been 28 days today since we went on to this. So I'm shooting for 30 days. That would be Saturday, and then we will continue to skip across this pretty quick. A couple days in each paddock at most. Last year we did 3. That's too long. I want to keep skipping here, and then bring those chickens in behind and let them bust up some of those pats. But we went reverse this year. Paddock 1 is here, 2, 3, 4, 5 is over by the barns. Let's go up on 5, and I got a little section I mowed up there. I want to show you something. We've got an area here where we mowed, and then over here where we did not. It's just, this is nothing scientific. Let's do a little rudimentary temperature measuring here. Use this compost thermometer. Let's take a soil temperature reading in both spots. Okay, this spot here where we mowed, about 83 degrees. Let's head over in this stuff, this bushy stuff, and let's take another reading. Okay, so I marked the depth here. Let's try and keep it consistent. Let's go over here in this patch of clover. See what we got. Okay, so we're sitting at about 66 degrees here. This is not super tall clover either. So yeah, 17 degree difference in soil temperature from this little patch to that one there. Tremendous implications, right, for earthworm activity and microbial life. Got to keep that soil covered. So rotational grazing in a drought, it can be somewhat of a double whammy, I've learned, because you have to quicken your rotation. You can't stay as long on a paddock in a drought, but yet you need to lengthen your recovery period before you can return to that paddock. And so it's this double kind of challenge that I won't say we have figured it out. I mean, in this situation here, just looking at the yard and such that we mow, I mean, the grass is still growing. I mean, we're still mowing. The challenge here, I think we're going to be just fine on round 2. Especially with some of this that we've rested 30 days here. Early June, typically that's too long. But now I think we're going to be about right. The question is, after we get through this second rotation, 2 days of paddock here. So in the next, couple of weeks here, what's this going to look like after we're through? That is the real question, especially with no moisture. Looking at the extended forecast, there's virtually nothing coming our way for the next week. Now, we all know that can change on a dime, and so hopeful for that. Lots of different strategies too. Thinking this through. It gets bad enough, and the proper, the proper way to weather it and buy time, because that's what you're doing, is buying time, is pretty much pause on a paddock, or put them, probably in my case, I'd put them down in the woods and just hay them. Leave them in one area, hook up the water, leave them in that area, let them just pug it, and yeah, it's not going to pug too bad when we're this dry, but let them eat it all the way down and just destroy it, and hay them, just hay them, keep haying them in that one spot while you're trying to buy time and let everything recover. We're not to that point. I've actually never been to that point. Hope I never have to do that, because that sounds terribly expensive. To be having to put out that hay. I mean, you may have noticed earlier, I did throw a little bit of hay out today, and that's just unheard of, right? For first day of June. I don't know that we've ever done that. Anyway, but here we are. So also, what about irrigating? I've thought about this. We've got a pretty decent well underneath that windmill out there. We went through a dry spell a couple Augusts ago, August and September, and I do believe we were in a classified official drought, and we were pulling 400 gallons a day out of that well there. So there's always a potential to because we have quarter acre paddocks, smaller, setting up some kind of an irrigation system, behind the cattle to help it recover, and thinking through that's an option. But no easy way to slice it here, no matter how you're farming. That is farming, though. That's how it goes. And worst day here on the farm is still loads better than my best day at that 9 to 5. So hope you're well this evening, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.